Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you're doing well out there. If you guys could subscribe, please do hit that like button. All right, just a little thumbs up. Put a comment. That's all good for the channel. I would appreciate it. Engagement helps the channel, costs you nothing, helps me out. I also would appreciate it if you would support my radio program. We got some fun stuff coming down the pipe for you. I think Heat Nation will enjoy. So stay tuned for that. And if you guys could, yeah, subscribe to that as well. Subscribe it on your podcast platforms if you like. Imagine seeing this lovely face, but you could just have it in your ears wherever you go. We have podcasts for that. I also know that YouTube has a podcast app now. I'm also very confused now on X. You can watch the videos, which I'm like, does that count? I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know. This happened yesterday. I was like, oh, that looks kind of badass. Like people can watch the videos on YouTube through the YouTube, but I don't know if that counts as far as watching it on YouTube. So I don't know if I like that or not. But I always appreciate your guys' support. Anyway, I'm yammering enough. I want to get to a another thing because I did another video tonight talking about the Heat coverage nationally. The Heat got dumped by ESPN. Kenny Atkinson's acting like a big baby and he's not playing anybody. But there's another thing that's been making the rounds today. So the big news in the NBA landscape today is that Nico Harrison was finally fired by the Dallas Mavericks. And I find a couple of these things funny. One, duh. Secondly, my favorite thing about this story is that the owner knew Mark Cuban, who may be actually more of a boob than old Mark Cuban, which is saying something. He apparently came to this conclusion after having a conversation with a snot-nosed fan who seemed like he was in his either in the 18, 19 age or early 20s. I don't know how old he was, but the kid was wearing a Lakers Luka Doncic jersey, and he's apparently his family's a season ticket. This is the story. Now, admittedly, I have not. If this is fake, I don't want to get into another debate like I did with Leroy on the radio show for 2 straight days about if the Mike McDaniel photo is real from Elbow Room, which it is. But the story goes that this kid, he gives Dumont the finger, and then his dad gets mad at him. He says, "You're banned from going to games. They have season tickets, unless you apologize." And so the kid ends up apologizing. He asks security, "Hey, because these owners, like in the NBA, if you have closed seats, like it's pretty accessible. You can say, 'Hey, what's up?'" The NBA is it's an intimate affair, especially in the lower bowl. And so anyway, the story goes that this kid sat down and the owner was like, he took the blame for the Luka trade, admitted it was a terrible decision, which duh. So now the story goes, now that Nico's gone, this ridiculous trade, which I have so many thoughts on this. Like the NBA, I love the game of basketball. I really do. I love Heat basketball, and you guys know that. There's so many things with the league, though, that I find rotten, especially from the stuff that just doesn't smell right, right? Like the players, so many of them, so talented, so many freaks. It's the other stuff that I do not dig what's going on with the commish. Do not dig with the cover-ups on scandals. And I'm not, and I don't like how, I love a good conspiracy theory. Who doesn't? But I don't love the idea that this colossal trade happened and then they just happen to have the ping pong balls bounce their way to get Cooper Flag. And that was another part that was great about this story. Cooper Flag's mom, who is a bit of a firecracker, she's like retweeting stuff about the fire Nico chance and how basically how Cooper Flag doesn't deserve it. And then it has to come out with a statement about explaining why she's retweeting it. It was amazing. The other thing that was amazing was Shams tweeting out that Nico was going to get fired. Not that he was fired, that he was going to get fired in his meeting that was coming up in about an hour's time. It was purely classless by the by the Mavericks to leak that, but I can't say this is a guy who deserves a lot of class, you know, because he made a real ass clown decision. And how am I going to get this to the Heat? I will. I'm going to land the plane here in just a second, but I do. I'm marveling at this story, and it's, by the way, a franchise I have no love for. Okay, I mean, I think every Heat fan worth the salt. You're going to go, who do you hate? This is the list. You either are going to go Knicks, Celtics, put them in whatever order you want to, and then under that, you're probably going to go, you know, Sixers just because they're annoying, Pacers because of all the history, Bulls are going to be in there as well. So those are all your East teams. But in the little nook somewhere is this absolute animosity for the Dallas Mavericks. We don't like them, they don't like us, and that's just the way it is. And so seeing their downfall is quite delightful, but it obviously doesn't have the same characters because Dirk Nowitzki's up there hot. He has more of a relationship with Udonis Haslem than he does the Mavericks franchise right now. He hates the Mavericks franchise. And, you know, Mark Cuban is basically a reality TV show host, and he basically argues with Pablo Torre all day. So, anyway, um, I get to this because now everybody is going to the move of, well, we got to trade Anthony Davis if you're the Mavericks. And maybe I'm in an echo chamber because the only clips that I saw were the ones on Heat Twitter. But I saw multiple moves out here. People saying, well, the Heat should trade for Anthony Davis. And they want the Miami Heat to not only get Anthony Davis, but they're expecting a haul for Anthony Davis. And I got to tell you, Anthony Davis is an all-world talent, right? Um, but he's basically on the durability scale. He's Joel Embiid with a ring. You know, like he had this incredible run with LeBron. Would say, you know, did they underwhelm? Did they not? He's always hurt. You know, he's a big man who doesn't like being a center, even though he's bigger than everybody. Um, and you know, he's an absolute freaking menace. He's a great defender, but he has tremendous durability issues, right? And he's also at that age anymore where it's just like, hey, that body's getting old. He's 32, gonna be 33 before the playoffs, and it feels like an old 32 because he's gotten to Dallas and barely played. And the people are looking at the Heat and they're just like, hey, you guys should trade for Anthony Davis. And again, I'm in a weird place, and people are going to say this is crazy. I can't believe I'm hearing this from you, Tobes, because you know me. I love to sharpen the harpoons. All right, I love the chase. I'm trying just to enjoy my basketball team right now because still scarred from the Damian Lillard thing. Okay, and then I wanted Durant, and that didn't happen. And I'm just like, you know what? I just don't have these in me anymore. I'm just enjoying the team. The one thing, and by the way, never thought about Norman Powell. Never knew I wanted Norman Powell. I love Norman Powell now. And the Miami Heat got Norman Powell for a bag of donuts. And so, to the idea of getting Anthony Davis, which I cannot imagine the Mavericks will do because the Mavericks obviously have to recoup something from this Luka trade other than just conspiracy ping pong balls getting them Cooper Flag. I'm seeing people like, you need to would you trade Tyler and Kalel and Norman Powell in a first? And I'm like, for Anthony Davis, who's never playing basketball, are you all the way high as a kite? Like, I just no, no, I can't do like if you're telling me the Heat could like put the salaries with no picks and nowhere, and there's some kind of mechanism, like, all right, if you told me it had to be like, I don't even know what the salary would be. Like, just throw it out. Like, if you were to do, what does he even make? What is Anthony Davis's contract? What does he make? Oof, that's a lot of money. Oh my God. He's making 54, 58, 62. Essentially the Jimmy Butler contract, which they didn't want to pay. So that would mean you would need to put Norman and Tyler in the deal to make the salary work, which get lost, dude. No way. For this guy, the way he really plays basketball, because I got a feeling he's picking up that player option. I understand the idea of pairing him with Bam Adebayo. Team USA, Kentucky boys, the defense would be amazing. Very true. If this guy was 32 years old and durable and be able to play, he's obviously got the talent where you think about it. I just every one of these guys right now that's at the Heat's doorstep, and this is the other thing I wanted to say about it. Like every media outlet is looking at this Heat team right now, which is really like, I will admit, I don't know how what their ceiling is. I don't know because honestly, we haven't even seen all the pieces together, right? But I see things. I think every Heat fan can say this. The last 2 years that we've watched, where you had the disaster that was the Jimmy situation last year, him leaving, the team basically mentally folding with him out of here, and then the year before that, where Jimmy was hurt all the time, kind of coasting, the Dame thing, the didn't go great. Tyler was hurt, then Terry was hurt, then Duncan was hurt, then Jimmy got hurt. You've had a couple of years from hell, but there's also been in the midst of that just real mental shortcomings of the team, right? Which they used to be the team before that was like more mentally tough than anybody. And then that was just lost. I don't know if it became too strenuous. I don't know what. But the team this year, I think everybody can agree. Like, we're seeing a team right now that's just got some characteristics that the old teams just didn't have. There are things that you just like. I think the young core looks like it's got some stones. Davion Mitchell's an absolute pit bull. Pella Larson, demon. Wiggins and Norman, low maintenance, high talent. I understand the criticism. The Heat, do they have an A? Do they have a Donovan Mitchell? Do they have a Giannis? Do they have a Joker? Do they have a Shea? Oh, I don't think that they have that. But the thing is, everybody wants to throw this puzzle piece down here. And this has happened with the Anthony Davis thing, where everybody's like, well, if the Heat are this awesome now, just make Anthony Davis on the team, and that makes you a contender. It's like, well, he's on the team that they thought was going to make it a contender, and they're a disaster. They just fired their general manager for him. All right. And the team that he left for the generational star that he was traded for, flourishing. Not a great sign, dude. Not a great sign. And the same thing was kind of going on with the Ja thing, which I think is a little better for the Heat. It's a little better of a fit because I think people are a little more reasonable on what the trade would be because of all of Ja's baggage, but he's also got a lot of baggage. Ja's got the baggage and some durability questions. AD doesn't really have baggage, but he's just got durability questions. Me, I was into the Zion thing. He's hurt again. I think I've been talked off the ledge on that one. That seems a little stupid if they were to go down that. Unless these were just, hey, cut bait trades. Maybe the Pelicans are just like, dude, we're kind of playing better without him. Like, want him? Then I'll be like, maybe. Maybe we'll take a walk down that aisle. But it's got to. But I'm a little spoiled right now because the Miami Heat just got this incredible player in Norman Powell for nothing. And so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, those are the guys I'm going to give up the farm for. It's like, this is a little bit of an experimental year for the Heat. It's going really well. I just don't know what the guy is that they make the leap on into is. I don't know if that guy's out there. I don't know if that guy will become available. I don't know. Um, Certainly they gotta figure some things out when Tyler comes back as far as like, hey, what's Tyler's fit here? What's his long-term future? And then do they pivot from that? That's a real thing in transaction that he gotta talk about because it's a real question that has to be answered. It's not one I love talking about because I kind of am also curious, like, well, maybe Tyler makes this more awesome. I don't know. Maybe he does. it, I think the thing that's been cool is that this Heat team has been so cohesive on everybody pitching in. You got an incredible year from Jaime Jaquez, but the trades that I saw with him was like your two top scorers, effort, your best young big, and a first round pick for a dude who never, ever gets through a season. No thanks. He hasn't been there for them basically since they traded for him. He's just this year 5 games. Last year he played 9 games. 51 before that. He had 1 year in 23-24. We played 76. And before that, 56, 40, 36, and he played 60 plus games in the year they won the title, which was 5 years ago. Yeah, that I'm sorry, that scares the holy hell out of me. Incredible talent, space alien. You know, I'm not here to degrade Anthony Davis as a player, but that is way, way, way too many question marks to give up the kind of players that the Miami Heat would have to give up for him. Would you do it? And I'm really happy with this. I really am happy with how Andrew Wiggins is playing. Would the Heat do it for Tyler Wiggins and then talk about the pick? More of a conversation. I'm not putting Kalel in that deal. And it's like a pick, I think, is like the stop point. That's the tolerable for the roll of the dice of what you would do. I think like and I don't even know if that's a perfect mechanism. I'm just kind of thinking like 30-30. You're kind of there, like whatever but those the salary. I'm not doing Tyler and Norman. It's and so and I don't think that they would want Norman Powell because of his age. I would think that Tyler would be the piece because yeah, you pair him with Cooper Flag. That's kind of a cool duo, intangibles. Um, but even that one, I'm even trading Tyler and Tyler's got his own durability issues for sure. But even trading Tyler for Anthony Davis is a little bit like, you know, I hope he plays. You know, honestly, the guy on the Heat, honestly, the guy that if he became available, that I want the Heat to maybe spin around the block and check out once he's healthy is Kyrie. Like that would be, I'd be like, that I would be intrigued by. That one I would be intrigued by to see like what is that? What does it take to get him? What's that price point from the Mavericks on that? But the Anthony Davis and everybody's like, yeah, people are looking at the Heat as like this incomplete puzzle right now. I get it. And they're doing John, they're doing AD, and they're doing I don't know. Certainly, we'll see where this year goes, and if the Heat come to earth a little bit or they flounder a little bit, then yeah, maybe I'm more open to a risk. I'm a little bit right now in cruise control because the Norman Powell trade is going swimmingly. And this is without even the Heat having all of their guys. He's missed games, Bam's missed games, Tyler hasn't played. So I don't know. I'm just not in this. I know you might be disappointed in old Captain Togs, but I'm my harpoon's on the wall right now, dude. I have no interest in taking it out for such a move.